this is probably one of the most powerful tools you'll get to use in any situation, personal or professional.
Thank you, Stephen. So, and I need to give always proper credit to Robert Fritz, the author of The Path of Least Resistance, for the concept or the making the distinction between fundamental choice and primary choice, as he writes about it in Personal Mastery, the discipline of personal mastery, right? Is that it doesn't make sense to make a primary choice unless you're clear about a fundamental choice. And what is that fundamental choice? For me, in this model, it's if I put up here area of focus over on the left margin, this is about purpose. What is your purpose in life as an individual? What is your purpose as an organization? What is your purpose as a nation? And then over here will be the relevant questions to ask that goes along with each of these choices. So in the fundamental choice, then the question here, right, in big caps is why? Why do I exist? What am I here on this earth for? Why do we exist as an organization? What is and so when I work with the NEA, the National Education Association, what I thought was going to be a one-time speech became a 20-year journey, is that they actually were struggling with their own sense of purpose. They were in that kind of stagnating place. And so one of the thought experiments I had them do, I says, okay, let's imagine for a minute, what if NEA disappeared tomorrow? What if it shuttered its doors, but all your members were there and all the dollars were there? What would happen, right? And or someone said, well, some people would cheer, right, celebrate. The states would say, where's the money? We want the money so we can do our work. But eventually they came around to realizing that certain parts of NEA would somehow have to be recreated because it was necessary. And that began to crystallize for them why they existed. What was their purpose that nobody else could quite do unless they were there, right? Which is the same thing that the IBM customers told Lou Gerstner. Your purpose isn't to be just another manufacturer of peripherals. Your purpose is to be the system integrator, the enterprise integrator that we need. That's your purpose, right? So whatever that is, we need to understand our fundamental choice, purpose, and answering the question why. But what Fritz, of course, in his framework didn't talk about is the province below, and that is that fundamental choice of purpose and needs to be grounded in a set of core values, which is why I was thrilled to see this appear in the Built to Last book, right? And the core values is about identity. It really defines who you are as an individual, defines who you are as an organization, because it answers that question of who, because it guides the way in which you see and interact with the world. Because there's many ways, right, to pursue a purpose. You can be ruthless, right, destructive in pursuing this purpose. The core values is going to guide you as an individual and an organization as to how you are doing that as an integral part of the core ideology. And there's a tight interplay between these two, or should be, right? These are not just words on paper. There's a tight interplay between the two. But purpose must precede core values. Very important to make that statement. Purpose precedes core values, meaning it guides the core values. And the clearest example I can give of that is it's a military organization, but I'll say why the point is clear. Is that, of course, if you're Singapore Armed Forces, your purpose is to defend and deter, but if needed, to fight, right? And you're going to send your soldiers to dangerous places. Well, one of their core values was among like professionalism, integrity, and duty to country. One of them was care for soldier. So in teaching one of their classes, people said, well, care for soldiers doesn't make, it says, why? It said, we have that care for soldiers, but why is this there if we're going to be sending them to dangerous places? So the reason it's important to have purpose guide the core values is because if you focused on the core value of care for soldiers, of course, you would start arguing for not sending them to dangerous places, not putting their lives at risk, right? Having their safety be the primary thing, et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't make sense. If your purpose is to defend and deter, you have to do those things. So then the question is, does the core value of care for soldier become meaningless? Is it really hypocritical? And the answer is, of course, no. In the context of their purpose, care for soldier turns up in a different way, right? Means that if you are going to help them be effective, and caring for them means proper training, proper equipment, right? Proper healthcare, proper attending to the family that they leave behind, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a reason why these need to be together rather than seen as separate. Once you are clear about your core, the purpose and core values, then you're in a position to make what Fritz refers to as the primary choice, different from the secondary choice. So the primary choice is about in the realm of vision. So talk about vision, and this answers the question: what result do we truly care about creating? But here's the thing: if you ask people to just vision, right, there's a universe of possibilities that you could vision, but that doesn't give you a coherence to an organization. Individually, you can do it, but as an organization, it'd be all over the map. So it has to be vision that is growing out of a common sense of purpose. So first clue, if you can't get agreement on vision, it may be a symptom that there is not a shared sense of purpose. And the flip side is, if you don't have a shared sense of purpose, it's probably a fool's errand to try to build shared vision. This is what I have witnessed, is where people try to come in here with the presumption, perhaps, of shared purpose, but you then find out that they're at cross purposes when they start to try to create vision. And then the danger, though, of course, when you can't agree here, do people go down and try to get to the root, or do they go up into something that is called this secondary choice in the realm of strategy? My experience is, and what people tell me, is that they will tend to go up, right, into the secondary choice, which is the realm of strategy. So there is this natural flow. This is a biflow. And this is answering the question, of course, how? So when we get stuck asking and clarifying the vision of what we want to do together, people go up and start talking about strategies. Well, how are we going to do that? Whatever this is, how are we going to do that? And the reason most people confess is that it'll be easier to talk about piecemeal strategies if others can do their own strategies, right, than it is to agree on a vision. Rather than, if there's a problem here, you go down here. Or if you can't then agree on strategies even, right, then what happens is there's a tendency to go up to the next level, and instead, give it one more, the tertiary choice. And now you're in the realm of tactics. So you start, notice the focus becomes smaller and smaller, and you say, okay, which of these tactics might you take and might I take? Because we can't agree on strategy. And then when I thought about what are the other choices there left, lump them all into just other choices. There are many other choices, of course, you would need to make. And these would fall into activities, which is a lot of activities that need to be organized in order to make things happen, right? And this is where you would then ask the who, what, when, where, how, why questions. But these are all in lowercase because they're at the smaller level of significance. So what you can, if you look at it from that 1G, 2G, 3G perspective, I think the problem is that originally it emanated from a deep understanding and internalization of the purpose and core values, right, of the organization. Who are we? Why do we exist? And with a clear imperative about the vision of the results that they want to create. And from there, they formulated the strategies, tested them over time, got them working, and then translated the tactics into many activities. And this is, but it was all still grounded here. Then you get the second generation, and where this kind of starts to fade away, and people get very focused on their strategies, tactics, and activities. So one of the symptoms, I believe, is that in your own settings, if you find that most of what people talk about is in these levels, and then if you ask a question that points to these deeper levels and people have either no idea or no interest, then you know you're going down that dangerous path. And the solution or the remedy, I believe, is to come back. How do you help people come back and ask those deeper questions? Why? Tell me again, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of this? And what are things that are so near and dear to us that we would not do if it violated our core values? And so that, to me, is the common remedy to wherever you may find yourself here, right? Is to come back to these levels. So the kind of the bifurcation here is that over time, organizations start to just operate at the strategy, tactics, and activities level. They give lip service to vision, and they really are untethered from that true sense of purpose and core values that may have brought them the initial generations of success.